Yes, a special playoff edition of what? How about picking winners? We got Keg from the bet side. We got Mangone from the DFS side. I'm here to have some fun. I'm also here to tell you, please hit the like button and subscribe. Even if you're watching this on tape, it helps us do more of these videos for free. And also, Underdog has playoff best ball. If you want to play playoff best ball, use the code RUNPURE and it gets new signups $100 deposit match with their first deposit. Okay, so that's terrific. And we got Simon and Schneider doing best ball shows, playoff shows. I think tomorrow as that thing gets going on. Hello, Kegger. Wonderful to see you once again. I know that the live show package is doing very well. Before we get into the 6-game slate from a betting and DFS side, why don't you talk a little bit about what you got going on with your live shows right now?
Yeah, what's going on, boys? I'm doing well. The live show package started last weekend behind the paywall. We did Saturday, Sunday, Monday, about 20 hours of in-game betting content, and we crushed. We hit a couple 4-to-1s. We went like 8-1 at Sunday at 1 o'clock on that slate. It was really, really profitable. So it's behind the paywall now, but anybody that wants to join the sweat with us can do it at runpuresports.com. I'm excited about it.
Mangone, besides for just being completely flustered by the amount of contests this week, is anything good going on in your life besides for winning lots of money?
I've had a great week, but yeah, I'm DK. I mean, looking at the pricing for this 6-gamer, it's awful. They got all this. They had too much stuff in the lobby. Yeah, I mean, I'm yelling at clouds right now, Holden. I basically am your age right now. I'm yelling at clouds, and I'm upset with the DraftKings pricing as we look through this slate. I mean, it's not good, but we're gonna talk to 6-gamer. So we're not going to discuss like all these different showdown options. If we like a guy, like let's say I like Joe Burrow, yeah, of course you can play him in showdown, play him in the captain, whatever. But we're going to talk the 6-gamer. It's a pretty decent, it's a decent slate. It's also some game theory with it. And
yeah, that's what
on top of that, it's a 3-day sweat. Right?
It is a 3-day sweat, and we'll obviously talk about some strategery when it comes down to that, Keg. But hey, let's go. And I heard the shot that Mangone took at me. It was so subtle, yet just a glancing blow. I can't even respond to it. Okay, it's too bad. Hey, Kegger, the Saturday games. I'm excited about the Saturday games because they're outdoors and it's going to be cold weather, and that kind of gets me juiced up for the playoffs. Raiders plus 5.5 on the road. Total here, I'm seeing a 49.5 now. 49 is the total. The Raiders just keep proving everybody wrong. I really don't understand how they're getting it done, Keg. Please explain to me how that's possible, and talk to us about the side and the total.
Yeah, they're just a gritty team. I know JJ was on the Raiders. I was on the Raiders money line. I think I'm excited for this weekend in general because I think that these NFL playoffs are the most wide open NFL playoffs that we've had in maybe a decade, maybe probably longer. I think that there are a lot of teams that if they can put a 3 or 4 game run together, could win a championship this year. So specifically about these games, I know that both teams played back in week 11 and the score wasn't really that close. The Bengals won that game by almost 3 touchdowns. But I think it's fair to say that this Raiders team is in a different place right now. They are a scrappy group of guys, especially the last 4 weeks. And while the perception out there is that the Bengals are a way better football team than the Raiders because of Burrow, the weapons, and a solid defense, I'm not so sure that's true. They appear to be equals on a bunch of metrics, offensively and defensively. And to me, 5.5 points in some spots still seems high, even though the line opened at 6.5. I know that, but I'm going to lean towards the Raiders plus 5.5. As far as the total, I think that the Raiders team total over or the full game over is in play here because both teams, I think, are going to find success offensively. But at 21.5, 22, that's a team total that's very attainable for the Raiders. So that seems too low to me. and I'm going to lean with the Raiders plus 5.5.
So it's a lean, not a show bet yet.
Yeah, it's a lean.
So, Mangone, before we get into the actual plays from the Raiders and the Bengals, talk a little strategy on a 6-game slate. First time we've ever had a 3-day 6-game slate in the playoffs. First time we've had a 6-game slate in the playoffs, right? We've never done this before.
I think we had it last year, but it was
Did we?
over the course of 2 days, right? Because it was 3 and 3. I think it was
okay, 2 days.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and I wonder, do you think there's any merit to just backloading and fading some of the early games? Vegas, Cincy, New England, Buffalo, Philly, maybe a piece from Tampa Bay, maybe a couple pieces, and then backload it and hope that, Arizona and the Rams, if you dig something up there, playing the Chiefs. Like, what kind of strategies can we employ here on this unique slate?
I mean, I think there's tons of strategy that you can employ. Like, so here's one thing. So I think that you could play guys in this first game and you gain information from it, right? So if you go in and let's say you look for a low-owned guy, and a guy that I think could be a really good low-owned play in the first game is Zay Jones at 4,200. I don't think people will want to play him. He's had 7 or more targets in his last 5 games, and it's just like if he falls in the end zone, gets a touchdown, he's going to be a guy that you want to have on the slate. If you put him on your team, Holden, you know what happens? You have the information of if he has a great game, well, now I can play some more chalk plays around it. Maybe I can throw a Cooper Kupp in there for sure because I have information that, this guy has played great. You can also post head-to-heads, Holden, and you post those head-to-heads up, and you can just go in and be like, okay, this guy has played these options so far. And you can try and do the math and say, okay, this guy has, this running back. And then you can look at the 2v2s and 3v3s and decide, okay, he's got the same running back as me and I'm behind. I can't play the same guy or else then I'm playing a 1v1 and I'm down 10 and I don't like my options. So let me make a pivot. And I'm not saying that the pivot is the better play, but you're just trying to keep yourself alive. On the opposite side, let's say you know what the guy's going to play and let's say he's got you got $6,800 in salary left and he's got one spot and I got $9,000 left. But I know that at that price, he's probably playing this one chalk running back that I happen to fade. I'll just plug him in there and I'll leave the $3,000. And if I'm ahead of you, I'm just going to box you out and I automatically win. I don't have to worry about it. So there's a lot of definitely a lot of different strategies that you can definitely go with on this slate in tournaments and in cash games. So with it being a 3-day sweat, you got all the time in the world to check that out. And it should be a lot of fun. You can do the backload thing too, and you can just say, you know what? I'm going to play no one on Saturday. I'm going to put everyone from the 4 games and later on. And let's say Saturday completely busts. You say it's all these weather games. They're all outdoor. Let's say just completely bust and they're awful. You're sitting in a really nice spot now that you faded those 2 games that did terrible. So it's going to be a fun sweat. I kind of enjoy these, and I'm excited for this slate. They gave decent prize pools. They got that $15. That's like $100K to first. They got a 555 for $50K to first. So I really enjoy these ones.
So let's get into the game then. Keg was looking at the Raiders a little bit here, and I wouldn't be surprised when it's all said and done if I just, one of these 6-game slates, I just backload it, just fade the first, just fade that Saturday at the very least. But
yeah, if you're playing 150 lineups, Holden, maybe 50 of them just backload completely. There's so many routes that you can take with this in MME formats, which I love.
You're right. Derek Carr, Joe Burrow obviously tearing it up down the stretch. I think Joe Mixon's in a great spot. Josh Jacobs has a nose for the end zone now. Chase, Higgins, Renfro, Boyd, tight end Waller. We'll see if he's healthy. I don't see a lack of explosive plays in this one, right? So give me a couple of names that kind of stand out to you if you are playing some Raiders and Bengals.
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me the most looking at it is Joe Mixon's 6'8" price is really good, but all the running backs are kind of just cheap in general. So the other thing that sticks out on the Bengals side is looking at the Bengals receiving options. Jamar Chase is 7'4". He's the second highest priced receiver on the entire slate. And when you see that price tag, I just think you could get him kind of under-owned. And under-owned Jamar Chase, we saw what it did against the Chiefs. And I mean, Joe Burrow, I don't know if you saw these numbers, Holden. They're actually pretty wild. Let me try and pull them up. I posted them here in this other chat of mine. But Joe Burrow has been an absolute monster. I mean, he's absolutely crushed in games that matter, right? Going back to his college days, and I know these numbers aren't perfect, but he's had 6 games that in his career that you have to have. He's got to win, must wins. LSU 2019 with Bama, Georgia SEC title game, the semifinal, the national championship, and then against the Ravens, week 16, that was a pretty big game. Then the Chiefs, week 17, big game, 6-0. He's got 2,700 passing yards, which is 444 per game, and then 27 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I mean, we forget Joe Burrow is like the guy, man. Like he's like a very good player. He's kind of a generational talent, and I'm going to play a lot of Joe Burrow. I think he's one of my favorite stacks on the slate. Him, Jamar Chase. I don't love normally going expensive at tight end. There are some good tight ends on the slate that we'll talk about, but I think CJ Uzomah is an interesting run back. You can go Higgins, Boyd. They're all interesting options, but I think because of Jamar Chase's price tag, I think people might shy away from him. People are going to go to Mike Evans at 6,900 instead because Mike Evans is going to be in a really great spot. I mean, nothing against him. I think he's a great option, but people are going to go to him. People are going to go to CeeDee Lamb at 6,200. It just feels like a really cheap price tag for a Cowboys receiver, especially with Gallup gone. I mean, there are a ton of options that you can go. You look at these Arizona guys. I mean, Christian Kirk is 5,300, AJ Green at 49. People are going to talk themselves into that, and then they're going to say, let me go grab Cooper Kupp because Cooper Kupp is the best player probably in fantasy for the playoffs. So I think you're just going to get Jamar Chase really under-owned in tournaments, and I love going to him. The problem is trying to figure out that Raiders run back. I mean, Darren Waller's back, right? So at 5,700, that is an interesting tag. And the targets were there last week. He had 9, only 2 receptions, but I think putting in your tight end in the run back's not bad. I don't mind Waller, but I really think the Zay Jones idea is a really good one to go to because of the targets he's seeing and the price tag. So I love this game. It's probably one of my favorites. I don't love that it's the first game because I feel like maybe it could get a little bit more ownership. But on the flip side, I love being able to get some information because if this stack completely busts, I'm telling you now, I'm not going to play a lot of chalk with it, but I will definitely eat the chalk if that's the case. If this stack goes off, I'm going to try and find a way to maybe grab Cooper Kupp in my lineups if it's just like all flames in it because I want to grab Cooper Kupp then. If not, I don't think I'm going to play Cooper Kupp. I'll try and go to a different receiver to try and get a little bit different.
All right, guys, let's move on to the next game. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that like button down there. Show us a little bit of love. The subscribe button's the red thing with the sideways triangle. If you haven't already subscribed to all our videos, go do that. They'll just pop up for you, notifications. Hey, Kegger, here's an interesting one. We've got a whole bunch of guys that have never made a playoff start, right? Burrow, Carr, Hurts, Mac Jones, Kyler Murray. Before we get into our next game, anything there for you on quarterbacks making their first starts in the playoffs, working one way or the other? Or is it who the hell cares?
Yeah, I think these guys are pretty much in the groove right now. I think Belichick will have Mac Jones ready to go. I think Burrow was in enough big-time games in college, at least the national championship game, where I think that he'll be okay. I think that for the most part, this team is ahead of schedule. Not a lot of people thought this was a guaranteed playoff team this year. So I think to a certain extent, Burrow's playing with house money. Mac Jones is certainly playing with house money. And I think Belichick will get him ready. So I think they'll be okay.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Patriots at the Bills. I woke up this morning. I saw the hook, hit the Pats plus 4.5. I told you that, so you know which way to go now, Keg. So we got that. We got a nice little low total in this game. Divisional rivals, third time they've played this season. You know, for anybody thinking they're gonna roll down the primrose path. I think you got another thing coming here with Belichick against these Bills. The other thing to remember, and I think at the very least, me and JJ talked about it. Maybe you and I talked about it too. These quarterbacks, once they get to the playoffs, no more just laying down. Like they will take the contact. They are all about moving on the ground. Like Kyler Murray is the king at avoiding contact, right? He don't want to get touched. I think he's going to go bananas. Josh Allen could absolutely go bananas this week. I'm waiting for his prop. If that thing is 40 or less, I'm probably going to get on the over. Thoughts on the Patriots and the Bills, Keg?
Yeah, I don't mind that Josh Allen over at all. We've been hitting him live the last couple of weeks, and he's been doing well. To me, I think this is probably the toughest game to call because both these teams are very solid. They both beat each other this season. They both have top 10 defenses this year. But I think for me, what separates these teams are the offenses. I trust the Bills offense to win a game more than the Patriots. And because I think the Bills offense is pliable. They're a more dynamic offense to me. They can control from the lead. They can build on a lead, and they can play from behind because their normal offense is pass heavy more oftentimes than it isn't. And that's why I think the Bills are the better team overall, although I do think the Pats are very good. And it doesn't hurt that this game's in Buffalo. That stadium should be bonkers this weekend. And that, combined with the edge I think Buffalo has offensively, is the reason why they should, I think, win this game. The question is 4.5 too many points here? The line opened at 4.5. It's currently 4.5. But I'm still going to lean the Bills here. I'm not a narrative guy by any means. But if not now for the Buffalo Bills to plant their flag and say, we're the class of the AFC East, if not now, when will they ever beat the Patriots in the playoffs? I think this is a big game for the franchise. And I think that they rise to the occasion. I think they win. And I think they probably cover, even though this is a very, very tough game to call.
Mangone. Josh Allen should be popular. You tell me if he is going to be popular. Patriots running game did have success, obviously, in that first game, even when Buffalo was stacking the box because there was tornadoes there. 700-mile-an-hour winds. Total here is 44.5, so not expecting too many points here. How do you want to attack this from a DFS side? My sense that would this be the least sexiest DFS game?
Yeah, kind of. Because you look at the total, 44. That's the lowest total on the slate. I wonder how people approach it because you got some studs in it, right? Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. They could easily have big games. They are some of the higher priced guys. So when you play that stack, it's like, okay, you start to run out of some money. And I just don't know if this is like the best stack because of all the ways I think it can fail and have some issues. I do think on the Patriots side, there's some interesting options. Like, I think you look at Damian Harris at 6'4". I don't think people want to pay his tag and they'll want to go to some other options. And dude, Damian Harris has been amazing. If you look at like the game logs, I mean, the dude just prints every single week, it feels like. And last week was interesting, Holden, a game that they didn't really need to go out and win against the Dolphins. I don't think like it was a game where they had to take a certain position because I think Bills were winning. And it just wasn't a game that they had to go out there and win to make the playoffs or anything. They could have easily lightened the load a little bit on Damian Harris. And instead, they're out there just chucking passes to him. I mean, 4 receptions is like a season high for him. Is that what we have to come? Are we going to get out of nowhere a big reception game from Damian Harris in a huge workload spot? I mean, if we are, how do we not play him at 6,400? If you tell me he's going to get 4 to 6 targets possibly this week, I'm just going to push on Damian Harris. I think he's a really good play. And this is a Bills team that, listen, Belichick's not a donkey. He's one of the best in the league. He is going to go out there and he is going to keep Josh Allen off the field. He is going to control the clock. He's not going to make Mac Jones get into a shootout. And how do you do that? That's with Damian Harris, using him as your weapon, using that offensive line. So I think Damian Harris, I don't think people are just going to play him because it's not a sexy play at the running back position. There's other guys you can go to. Of course, news is going to matter with a lot of this. You'll get this Damian Harris news early, but what if we have Chase Edmonds is someone who's doubtful? And then you got James Conner possibly getting in the backfield to himself. I could see a lot of people who have Cooper Kupp in their lineup saying, you know, it's an easy way to get exposure to the Cardinals, playing a James Conner, who's been really good in those roles, and just completely ignoring a Damian Harris. So I think he's my favorite guy in this game. I totally understand some of these other options on the Bills, but they're not guys I'm going to be slamming in my lineups. Like we now got Emmanuel Sanders back. He is cheap at 4K. Cole Beasley's 4.3. Gabe Davis 4.6. All those guys you can mix and match in your lineups. And could they have big days? Yeah, they could, but I'm not going to play that roulette too much. If you want to mix and match them in your lineup, and then, hey, if some of those guys do bad, then you change your lineup up because, again, it's a nice little 6-game slate that's over the course of 3 days where you can change stuff and really just dive into your lineups and dive into SaberSim and figure out what you need to change. And then Dawson Knox at 4.8. If you tell me he's like not a chalky option, like I don't want to eat the chalk at tight end typically unless it's really good. And I think the only maybe really good chalk tight end could be like a Travis Kelce or even a George Kittle. I mean, there's some really interesting options at the top that we'll get to as we go through these games, but this 44 total is definitely not my favorite one on this slate.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I mean, again, there's a lot working against scoring here, but you do have some really explosive pieces. Keg, let's go to the Eagles and the Bucks. I know we were talking about the quarterback to lead the weekend in passing, and there's a pretty good one in Tampa Bay. On the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts can run a ton, but we know the Buccaneers run defense kind of built for this to stop the run, and that's what the Eagles are built around. Tom Brady, you look at the numbers, not nearly as good without Antonio Brown, and then last week he goes out and he peppers Gronkowski, and he hits Mike Evans, and things go well from there. Total is 46.5. The side is 8.5. Let's do it. What do you got? Eagles and Bucks.
Yeah, no, another very interesting game. Man, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won 7 of the last 8, and for some reason, I don't feel good about them. They've played one good football team in 6 weeks, and that's when they beat Buffalo in overtime. Aside from that, let's be honest. I mean, their schedule is a joke. They played Carolina twice, the Jets, Atlanta, the Giants, and the Saints. These are not very good football teams. I think that the Bucs could get punched in the mouth during these playoffs when they have to play a few great teams in a row. Now, do I think the Eagles are one of those great teams? No, I do not. I think they are a tough out. I know that these two teams played earlier in the year, week 6. The Eagles were in the middle of losing 7 of 9, and the Bucs beat them by 6. Are the Eagles a better team now than they were in week 6? Yes, they are. Are the Bucs better now than they were in week 6? I'm not so sure you can say that right now. Now, even though this team, killed a very easy schedule, they went 13-4. So I think the Eagles are live to cover the 8.5 to 9, depending on where you shop. That being said, I think the Bucs probably win this first game. I don't mind using the Bucs in teasers down to 2.5. But if you're asking me my opinion on the full game spread, I'm going to lean the Eagles plus 8.5, 9 in some spots, depending on where you shop. As far as the total, 47 feels right to me. I don't really see an edge one way or the other. So the total is a pass for me.
I mean, what do you do with the other team, though? Like, the only other teasable game, I guess, is what? If you get the hook with the Patriots, you can go through 7 and 10 to 10.5. Is that the way you would go?
Yeah, I actually didn't really pay attention to see if there were any other teasable sides.
I think that's really the only one at this. Well, I guess if you want to take the Raiders to 11.5, you're going through 7 and 10. That's an interesting one.
I think if San Fran gets to 2.5.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You could tease them to 8.5. The Eagles, the Patriots. Yeah, I guess you could tease the Patriots up to 10. Yeah, I guess you could do that.
How about the Raiders? Is that just an odd? You don't do 5.5.
I hate betting any kind of teaser besides a long teaser.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me, do I think the Raiders cover 11.5? Yeah, I do.
Me too. Okay, Mangone, let's go to the DFS side of this thing. Tom Brady. You got Darius Slay on the other side, so I wonder what you think about Mike Evans. 11 of his 14 touchdowns have come at home. But my favorite play here, I'm going to go back to Gronkowski, but Lenny Fournette should be back, man. And I know Philadelphia could do some stuff, but his usage when he is in there, his effectiveness, his nose for the end zone, like Lenny's back, man, going. I wonder if you like Lenny this week.
I always love Lenny, and I love that you used a nice hand-in-the-ground football take. He's got a nose for the end zone. Those are always great
You
to
like
hear.
that? Oh, you like a nice cliche on this beautiful Wednesday?
I love those. I love hearing those. The analytical guys are just outraged when you say something like that.
Are they?
Oh, they are. They hate those takes for sure. No doubt. But
okay, well, it's factual. The numbers say he gets in the end zone a lot.
Yeah, I'm a Leo guy though, man. I'm definitely interested in him. I'm curious to hear. I would like to obviously get some kind of coach speak that gets me a little confident that like he gets the backfield to himself and he's perfectly fine. Will they mix in like a Le'Veon Bell or a Keyshawn Vaughn? Do you have any? You're good at this, Holden. Do you have any reads on that? Have you heard anything? I haven't looked too much earlier.
Yeah, I think Lenny's back. I think they run his ass into the ground.
I hope so. I mean, if that's the case, man, just fire up Leonard Fournette for me. Yeah. And like, they're also going to use him in the pass game a little more, right? Like instead of using like a Godwin maybe on a screen or using a guy like Antonio Brown on some short yardage stuff, I think Leo gets more involved, no doubt. So I like him. I think he's a great way to get exposure to this Bucs offense. And that's kind of my lean right now is my favorite option in this game. So I think I'm going to get some Leo in my life. And I think Gronk's a good option at 6'4". I'm curious where the ownership shakes out between Kelsey at 6'7", Gronk at 6'4", and Kittle at 6K, because Kittle in a dome, in a game, you expect them to probably be trailing. Like, that does sound like a really fun time. And if people are going to just all gravitate towards Kittle, maybe Gronk's a better pivot. If people are going to gravitate towards Gronk, maybe Kittle for 400 less is the pivot. Tight end is really interesting at the top, and we haven't seen it this interesting because of the price tags too. I mean, these are good price tags on Kittle. 6K is nice. So I think overall, I like this. I like this Bucs game. There's Mike Evans, another guy. I mean, you talked about him. I haven't talked enough about him yet, but people are going to gravitate towards him. I mean, 6'9" is a pretty good price tag. They are at home too. And Brady, the thing that's really great about playing Brady is when you play Tom Brady at 7.2K, you're likely going to stack him up. You're going to run it back with two options. And I think it's a really good route to go for correlation. Sometimes when you play Kyler Murray, what happens? Well, he might run one in, or even Josh Allen. Josh Allen could easily run two in, and like it kind of buries your other guys. If Tom Brady has a big game, it's not because he ran in like 3 touchdowns or something wild like that. So I like Tom Brady here. And then I guess the run back is interesting. If you do not want to go to a Gronkowski as a tight end option, why not Dallas Goedert at 4-5 against this Bucs team where, yes, the Eagles, they want to run the ball, but you know what? It's hard to run on the Bucs. And you might see them drop back more, and you might see Dallas Goedert have a big game at 4-5. I mean, it does seem like this week, Holden, it seems like double tight end is like firmly in play and something you might want to do more in tournaments to get yourself a little bit different. It doesn't seem like a crazy route because of the price tags they have put on some of these tight ends. So, yeah, I'd like Dallas Goedert as the run back the most. Let's see what Devonta Smith's price tag is, because I think it's pretty low. Yeah, he's at 5.5, which isn't bad. So yeah, there's a lot of routes that you can go here with this game. It's definitely a good one to stack up in DFS, I think. And you don't have to worry about weather too as well. I mean, it's in Tampa Bay. I don't think you got any concerns there.
All right, hit the like button, subscribe button. And again, we got our best ball shows that are coming up here. I think we already got one, don't we, Simon? Simon and Snyder are doing that. And if you want to play underdog, playoff best ball, use the code RUNPURE. New signups, $100 deposit bonus with the first deposit. So that's what you got there. Keg, our next game, surging Niners against, to me, a Jekyll and Hyde Cowboys team. By the way, Mangone, we're not sure which team is going to show up, but there's no doubt about it. Leonard Fournette, deceptively quick, has a nose for the end zone, leaves it all on the field, and often just wants it more than the other team. He's also probably due for a 3 or 4 touchdown game. So I just want to.
I love it. He wants it more than the team. That's another.
Yeah, he wants it more. Keg. So we look at this game here. You know what? I got it at 3.5. I got the Niners at 3.5. I was waiting for that hook. It's on Bet Rivers. Everywhere else it's 3. Total is 50.5. Here's just a quick take on this. I don't know which Cowboys team is showing up. They've really been Jekyll and Hyde. The Niners are red hot. They have a spectacular run game. Jimmy G is just a couple of years removed from getting the Niners to the Super Bowl and, just one big play away from winning that Super Bowl. Boy, I like the Niners this week. Why am I wrong?
I don't think you necessarily are wrong. I think it's another game where the dog can win the game outright here, despite a very solid season for the Dallas Cowboys. That Niners running game is really tough to stop, man. And while I'm not a huge Jimmy G guy, when that running game is on and he can get the ball to Debo and Kittle and put points on the board. So this line is saying that these teams are basically even on a neutral field, with the playoff environment getting a full 3 points, I think, for home field. So the line says that they're even teams. Now, my issue is I don't think they necessarily are even teams. I still have Dallas 1.5 better on a neutral than the Niners, but that's not a big edge, and it's certainly not enough to bet. So right now, I think the value is on the total. Now, if you're sitting with a Niners plus 3.5 ticket in your pocket, I don't mind it because I think that they could win the game outright 100%. But right now, I think the value is on the total. I think we probably see points in this game. So I lean the full game over, and I lean the 49ers team total over specifically because 23.5 seems low for the Niners because you could put points up on Dallas. And I'm going to hold off on the spread. So I'm going to lean over, hold off on the spread for now. I want to see what happens going into the weekend.
Okay, good stuff there. Mangone, DFS side of things, Niners and Cowboys. You know, I'm so in love with Eli Mitchell. It's just not even funny. I need to settle down with that. A lot of different passing options from the Cowboys side. I wonder who your favorite is there, either quarterback. And then, I mean, this team's really taken off offensively with Kittle back in the lineup. So talk to me here. There seems like just a plethora of plays from San Francisco to Dallas.
Yeah, let's start with the Dallas side of the ball. So you have to obviously like this game because of the dome. The dome factor is big. There are a lot of options you can go to. I mean, Dalton Schultz, we already talked about the tight ends. Dalton Schultz just won't even be owned. I mean, people will not even go to him. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, that CeeDee Lamb price is great at 6'2". CeeDee Lamb feels like a great value receiver on this slate that I think people are going to want to go to and get exposure because this Niners team, you can pass on them. And I think you're going to see these Dak stacks be really interesting options. I don't need to go to like a Zeke or Pollard. They're fine. Like they're okay, but I'm not going out of my way for those guys for sure. If you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a quarterback that you don't want to go out and play. I'm not saying I want to play Jimmy G, but what I do want to do is I want to stack him up if I play like a George Kittle, if I play and Deebo Samuel. I think the stack of Jimmy G is not bad. I think Elijah Mitchell is a great option if you think that they're going to, control the game with the ball, which they easily can control the game. That's one thing that Kyle Shanahan is great at. And the cat just came in my room, Holden. That's my roommate. So we got a lot going on here. But Kyle Shanahan, his name is actually a great name. You would like it. His name's Mr. Munch. Because he likes the munchies.
Love munching.
Yeah. So, this is a great game. I think it's one that you're going to want to get exposure to, Holden. And I think George Kittle's ownership is really interesting to me because I typically play George Kittle in spots where they're losing. And I want them to be losing. I want them to be trailing. I want Jimmy G throwing the ball. I don't get points for George Kittle blocking. It's just simple. I don't know if you remember the national championship game, Holden. Did you watch that one?
Yes, I did. That was 2 nights ago.
The Georgia Bulldogs were using Bowers as a blocker a lot. And that happens sometimes when the offensive line is not doing well. Like, what is Trent Williams' status going to be? He missed that last week's game. Like, that's going to be really important because if they're missing Williams, they might need Kittle to block more. Those are things I look for that are really small, simple things, but I think are very, very important. So I do think that Kittle is going to be a really good option, but I get worried about that sometimes, especially if they're controlling the ball on the ground. Keg, do you agree? Like, sometimes that's like an issue with the Niners and like Kittle's usage. I always feel like if you told me the Niners were playing the Packers, I know that they'd have to keep their foot on the gas a lot of the game because of what Aaron Rodgers can do. Do you think the Cowboys will be able to do that in this game, Kay?
I do, because I think you're right with the first thing that you said. I think that the San Francisco 49ers passing defense is so easy to get at that I think that Dallas is just going to naturally slip into a groove in this game where they're going to pass more than they're going to run because San Francisco's run defense is so strong. And I think that that's just going to naturally keep their foot on the pedal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's going to cause the game to interact really well. At the end of the day, you want these games to shoot out. You don't want the game to be like, 21 to like 3 at halftime. Then the one team just really slows the game down and does everything they can to kind of get out of the game. And with it being in a dome, I think that's really good. And I also don't think people are going to want to go in there and like play Jimmy G as a stack. Like it feels disgusting plugging Jimmy G in your lineups. But the one thing that he might do for your team, which could help, this is going to be kind of a high scoring slate. Like there's just going to be a lot of really talented players that rise to the top. This is the playoffs. It's not a week where you got bye weeks. You're going to want to get in good plays throughout your lineups, and going cheap at quarterback might be the route to do that. At 5.3K, that $1,000 might do the difference between like a Dak Prescott and like Dak at 6'4", man, he's probably going to be like one of the chalkier options because of that price tag and it being in a dome. So I do think this is one of the better.
You like the over, man, going in this game?
Yeah, I kind of lean it. I mean, you got that Dallas defense that's been a lot better, but I do think what's going to happen is you're just going to have that because of what you said with the San Francisco Niners side of the ball on defense. What they're going to do is they're going to stop the run. And when that run is stopped, Mike McCarthy is willing to pass. They're going to just chuck the ball up there, and they're going to realize, okay, we need to pass on this team to win the game. It's not going to be a game that we just run the ball all game long. And then you're going to see the Niners have to do that on the way back. Now, if the Niners just get up and that Cowboys offense can't move, yeah, then the game's just going to be lame and they're going to pound the rock with Elijah Mitchell. And if the Niners are leading late in the game, Keg, I'm sure on your live show, you know what you're going to do? You're going to be like, let's hit the under because they're just going to kill the clock all game long.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, I feel I feel like this is going to be San Francisco dictating the play, the pace of play here, and just running the shit out of the football. With whether it be Mitchell.
So do you like the under because of that?
No, I don't even like this. I don't like the total, to be honest with you, Keg. I don't know which way to, even the Niners total. Yeah, if you had a lean there, listen, Tyron Smith is back for Dallas, and that we know how huge that is for Dak, right? We do. I thought Mangone brought up a really sharp point here on Trent Williams. I've been around Trent Williams for a while. Basically, unless he has a limb falling off, he's going to play. Now, possible he doesn't. Yes, I get that. I'm going in with the assumption that Williams is playing. And I'm going in with the assumption that I just don't think that the Cowboys are as good of a team as everybody thinks they are. And they're going to try and run the football with Ezekiel Elliott. And the Niners are going to come up, stop that, and force Dak to pass, 35, 40 times. That's just how I see it playing out, Keg. And the second this line came out, I was like, how easy is the path to seeing the Niners just winning this thing straight up? And now you're giving me 3 and a hook? Come on.
Yeah, I see. I understand. I understand what you mean.
Well, one thing, Holden, I'm curious about is typically the highest total gets the most ownership in DFS, right? Like everyone says, 51 total, I'm in. Like, let me just play that game. There's a lot of routes this game can go where it busts, right? I mean, you could even see, like, I'm not saying I think it happens, but you could see the Cowboys like establish the ball a little bit and just hold the lead. That certainly could happen. I don't think it's the more than likely route, but I do think there's a lot of different paths to failure with this game, that if this game gains a lot of ownership, and there's also a bunch of guessing on the Cowboys side of the ball, who scores the touchdowns, where I think this game could dud if it has a lot of ownership. I'm going to try and find other games to go to, because I think this Bucs game that we talked about before, I think there's a lot of really good options on the Bucs side. And I think that you can, if you get the Brady stack right, it's not too hard to get the other options. Like I talked about liking that Bengals stack a little bit. And there's some other games too. I mean, we're going to obviously like Cooper Kupp in that Cardinals game, and it's on that Monday night. And what would be more fun than sitting there with maybe I don't know, 3 or 4 guys in your lineup holding that got some flames, and then you got that stack waiting to go on a Monday night. Like that would just definitely be a fun time to be sitting on that and watch yourself climb up the leaderboard.
I would like that, Mangone. That would be just absolutely wonderful. So Eli Mitchell is just a guy that I continually go back to. I'll probably do it again. All right, we got our next to last game. I was watching a little Ben Roethlisberger today. He's playing the card. We got no shot. They're probably 20-point favorites. We got no shot. He don't give a shit. Maybe it's his last game. Maybe it's not. They backed into the playoffs. Good job out of the Steelers. KC's implied totals 29.5. Pittsburgh is 17. Keg. The Chiefs have really, really gotten going over the last couple of months. Once Mahomes realized that he didn't just have to have the big play every time, he's patient now. He's getting all his weapons back. Darrell Williams, Tyreek Hill's looking spry at practice. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. These guys are all going to be back there for this game. Is this just going to be the blowout that Vegas thinks it is going to be? 12.5 points in a playoff game, Keg. Total here is 46.
Yeah, this feels like the one game this weekend where the outcome seems most predictable. The Chiefs are just so much better than the Steelers this year. 12.5 points is just too high for me to lay in the playoffs. But if you told me that the final score is 31-15 Chiefs, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that Big Ben making the playoffs for one last ride is a great story and all, but they just aren't equipped anymore to beat a team like the Chiefs consistently. Can Watt get in the backfield, cause some chaos on a few plays? Yeah, but the Steelers offense doesn't have the firepower anymore to keep up with a team like the Chiefs because of Ben, unfortunately. But 12.5 makes the side a pass for me. I looked at the first half spread. but that's Chiefs -7. They might be covering that in the first half, but I don't want to lay a touchdown in the first half. So the side is a pass. The total feels a little high to me at 46 because I don't know how much the Steelers are going to contribute to the total. So if you're telling me that 30-16 is a push here, I feel pretty good about leaning under 46. So the side is a pass, lean under 46.
Got some news. Trent Williams is not practicing today with the elbow, but I'm glad you brought that up, Mangone. I think it is something to at least track as the week goes on.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to this from a DFS side. How popular is Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, the running, just anything Kansas City? How popular are these guys going to be? And if you are running them, why would you not run some Deontay Johnson out there? Because he's probably going to get peppered again every game he is.
Yeah, he'll definitely get peppered, and PPR does matter, so I won't sleep on him at 6.7K. Matt Mahomes, I don't want to go to him that much this week. I just don't see a route where I love going this Kansas City team. I feel like they're just going to be up most of the game, and like you're going to get the first half, and yeah, Mahomes will do his thing, but will the Steelers be able to keep up with them? That's the real question. Do you think Big Ben can keep up with them? I don't know if he's able to in this spot. It is very concerning. Tyreek Hill is 7.1K. I mean, that's a very cheap price tag, but he's questionable. We don't know what the situation with his injury is. On top of that, we had a 2-game slate last week where he was 80% owned. And of course, we're DFS players. If you played that 2-game slate, you're probably playing this slate. And you know what? Tyreek Hill is probably not going to be owned. Now, in tournaments, if I told you, Holden, whenever Tyreek Hill is really, really projected high, like all the way up, fade him. And then I told you when he's not, play him. You'd probably be profitable in the long term doing that just because of the way his range of outcomes are. It's just, they're very wide. So if Tyreek Hill is going to be single digits somehow, which I think could happen, it would not shock me at all because I think people are just going to go to other options and they're going to be worried about that injury. I think Tyreek Hill could be a really interesting tournament play to go to, but could they hold him out? I mean, this is a double digit favorite, which you don't see a ton in the playoffs. I mean, one of the last ones that we saw that was one of the biggest dogs that ended up winning, it was the Steelers in the Tebow game, right? For the Broncos. That was way, way back. So I don't think Big Ben has that magic in him. I know Big Ben is one of that quarterbacks. He's been in the league in a while. He takes it one game at a time, but this is a game I don't think he can, come through and win. So yeah, I'm out on the Steelers. I'll maybe play a Deontay Johnson here or there. I think it's perfectly fine as a one-off, but I'm not trying to stack this game up because I think it's kind of pricey. And then Travis Kelce at 6.7, if you don't have Tyreek Hill in the game, let's say he sits, they're really concerned about that injury. Well, Travis Kelce at 6.7, he's going to be a guy that I think gains a lot of ownership and is going to be a really good option because the Chiefs, they're going to put up a lot of points.
Okay, last game to get to before we get out of here. The 6th and final game, our first Monday Night Football playoff game. I mean, maybe there was one in the past. I don't recall it whatsoever. Keg, this line has moved from 3.5 to places now 4.5, mostly sitting at 4. 49.5 is the total. You got two teams that can put up points. Do you think let's talk about the total first, 49.5. Dome, you like to see that. Rams, explosive plays. Cardinals, Kyler Murray. What do you think of the total? No opinion.
Lean over, I guess. I don't know, man. This is another game that I think can go either way. The Rams, think about this. The Rams have won 5 of the last 6, right, going into the playoffs. The one loss that they had was last week in OT. You would think you would feel great about the Rams. The problem is I don't feel great about them. Stafford has straddled this line the last 6 weeks where he's played bad enough to look like a liability out there with the amount of turnovers that this guy has had lately. But at the same time, he gets his shit together at some point during the game, does just enough to win the game, even though he spent half the game doing everything he could to make the Rams lose. So I don't feel very good about the Rams heading into the playoffs, and I don't feel very good about the Cardinals heading into the postseason either. They've been bleeding out for 5 weeks. 1-4 the last 5 games, with the one being win against the Cowboys by a field goal. Okay, haven't seen much the last 6 weeks that makes me want to back the Cardinals. something feels broken inside of this team. I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know if Kyler's not fully healthy or what it is, because when this team played their best ball, they were a real contender early in the year. But I have to see that team during these playoffs to back them pregame. The line opened down, it's down to 3.5. It continues to drop. Now, here's what I think. I think that if the line continues to fall, I'll probably reevaluate and maybe look to back the Rams if it continues to drop as far as the side. But I do lean over here for sure. Stafford's picks to the house lately are enough to lean the over alone. But I also think both teams should be able to hang points in this game. So lean over, and if the line continues to drop, maybe the Rams, but that's it.
That's it. That's the game. Mangone. Keg thinks there's some points. What do you think? I mean, is Cooper Kupp just an auto lock now that we're in the playoffs? And let's start with him.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Keg, we got someone in the chats. Keg's live show only $39.99. Is that your burner, Keg?
No, that's Bubba Wallace guy, bro. He joined the live show and he changes his fucking name every week. So I said, why don't you change your name to Keg's live show? Only $39.99. Yeah, and he actually did it.
I thought it was great. I was laughing about it. So yeah, they're talking about the Rams in there in the chat. But yeah,
is that a week? Hold on, is that a week or a month? You get a full month at that price, don't you?
Yes, $10 a week. Man.
It's deal.
It's 2 cups of Starbucks. It's 2 cups of Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, you should have charged him $50 a week. It's too low, Keg.
What's your schedule, Keg, for the playoff weekend?
I'll be on for every game, I think. The only game I might not be on for is the Sunday night game, but I'll definitely be on for both games on Saturday, at least the first 2 games on Sunday. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do the night game, and then Monday night I'll be live for that game too.
Nice, awesome. Should be fun. I'll try to stop by for one, Keg.
Please.
Well, it's gonna be a great weekend for sure. This will be the Monday Night Football game where we'll have Showdown stuff for it too. So be sure to check out all that content. I'm sure we'll have shows for it, but it is great for that 6 gamer because we got Cooper Kupp on the slate, and definitely you want to get exposure to him. I am curious about Cam Akers' usage. So Sean McVay is not one to just split up the work. Are they just going to flip the script and be like, okay, it's Cam's time to go, and they're going to just run him out there? I mean, he only had 5 rush attempts for 3 yards. Or do they more so just go to Michelle and then ease in Akers one more a week, and then maybe next week is the week that he's full go? That's the question. I mean, he's 4.2K. If you told the DFS industry, hey, Cam Akers is a full go, and we might not have this news by Monday, Cam Akers at 4.2, a full go, he's like a lock button play. But people might have their running back spots occupied already. They might be already taken up because what happens is they've already played other players. They've already played guys in those 5 options. So I think saving a spot for Cam Akers and having another spot to pivot or two to be able to get up to another option if Cam Akers isn't the guy, I think that's worth looking at. I think that all these receivers, Christian Kirk, AJ Green, even Antonio Wesley, I think they're all interesting options within the stack. The problem is trying to get the stack right and trying to get these options correct. I think AJ Green is my lean at 4.9K because of the ownership in tournaments. I've been playing in the last couple of weeks, and he's been okay. He's been fine. Hasn't really broke the slate, but I think he has the opportunity to soon. And on top of that, it's a dome game, which is great for these guys. You don't have to worry about all the bad weather. Zach Ertz at 4.7, another really good tight end option that you can go to. There's so many routes that you can play with this game. And it's a 49.5 total where you can play Cooper Kupp. You can play a lot of different run backs in like a skinny stack and call it a day. I think it's a great way to go. I don't really need to go to a Stafford or a Kyler Murray. Keg, I want to ask you a question. What's your take on Stafford? I mean, we've seen him be great some games and be really bad in others. Do you think Matthew Stafford is going to be able to get the job done and like rally the troops and get to the Super Bowl? Or do you think he's going to kind of fall short and have one of those really, really bad games?
I think that he's capable of doing it if he could just avoid the turnovers. But doesn't it feel like he looked so much better on Detroit than he looked this year? I mean, I didn't listen. They're what are they? 12-5, 13-4. I mean, they're a good team, and he had a good year. But the last 5-week run of turnovers is definitely concerning going into the playoffs, no doubt. But yeah, I think he is capable if he avoids turnovers.
Yeah, I worry. I worry. I think their draw got really rough. I don't like their draw. Like them getting the Packers the next round, I feel bad for. I mean,
brutal. I agree.
Yeah, like I'm a Packers fan, but like, yeah, I think that they wanted to avoid them until the next round. Obviously, it's not easy in the NFC. I mean, you have like I looked at the Cowboys and I said, the Cowboys is like a 12-1 like pick, was like kind of intriguing to me, just thinking, okay, Cowboys 12-1 win the Super Bowl. It's not bad. Then I looked at their road, man, and it's like you got to go through the Niners, which I think they have a lot of potential. Then you got to go through a Brady, and then like more than likely a Rodgers or Stafford. It could be Kyler, and if it is Kyler, then he's probably rolling and like running around like a madman and playing at like a top level. So it's just a really rough gauntlet to go through that NFC. And I feel bad for Stafford because I got a Rams future. I got it a while back, and I thought that maybe they could get the job done, but I do get really concerned about their road ahead. It definitely seems like it's tough, but it's a good DFS game. Cooper Kupp's gonna be one of the best wide receivers on the slate. I think you want to get him into your lineups. I think he absolutely carves up this I almost call them the St. Louis Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals secondary.
Anything else we got, boys? Or are we ready to get out of here? Go enjoy the rest of the day. Kegger?
Should be a fun slate. And here's one last point, Holden. Do you remember Wildcard weekend last year? Do you remember what happened or no? I just looked it up not too long ago. I looked up the winning DFS lineup.
Double running back.
This was the winner, Holden. It was a Steelers Browns stack. Big Ben dropped 37. Nick Chubb 24.5. Kareem Hunt 19.1. They had both Browns running backs in there. Stephon Diggs 27.8. Michael Thomas, wherever he's been, on the sidelines, 18.3. Juju had 38. Juju Smith-Schuster. Eric Ebron at the tight end spot, 19.2. Deontay Johnson, 25.7. It was a Pittsburgh quarterback with 3 Steelers, 2 Browns running backs, Rams defense. Holden, the point I'm getting at is just because you think you know what's going to happen this weekend, you don't. So be able to embrace that in tournaments if you're playing top-heavy stuff. Cash games, yes, let's do more of the predictable things and eat some chalk, but be okay to embrace some stuff. If you hear something that sounds crazy, well, I just told you something that was really crazy that happened and was the winning line.
I think that this is a solid show, man. I've enjoyed doing the show this year.
Are we done? I think we got one more, don't we?
I would assume so. Mangone, I'm getting in those NBA DFS streets tonight.
Are you? Oh man, Keg's joining the street.
I last night I played like $100 single entry. I just suck, bro. I'm just not good at it.
Well, here's the thing, Keg. We all have not been good at things all in our life, right? Like it takes grinding, it takes practice. You got to like keep going at it. Like one thing to do is maybe play like a lower amount or whatever's good for you. But like you can play those and just like play the same contest and learn every single day. And it does get frustrating. It does get hard, but there's so many, like even yesterday, I felt like I made a mistake and I've been doing this for a long time. So if you just keep at it and keep grinding, like you'll just naturally get better at it and you'll learn. And one way to do that is like getting in the Discord chat, watching the live show. I think that one of the things is watching the live show with JSU.
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it. I looked at the cores. But I only put like one lineup in, so it's not like, and I don't use an optimizer, and I know I'm probably setting myself up for failure, like right from the door.
Yeah, I mean it's there. I'm definitely in the camp of like you want to be using those tools. You don't have to use them. There's many ways to skin a cat, and but I think it's the best way to do it. But maybe that's not the way to start out. Maybe you start doing it the way you are now, and then you eventually get to that point. I think that's okay to go that way. But I mean, watching that live, you'll learn a ton watching the show with JSU. I mean, Holden can tell you that for sure. So I mean, you maybe do NFL this weekend too. I think instead of doing like the 2 and 3 gamers, Keg, I think doing that 6 gamer you might like, and like just be sure to do a stack. And I think correlation is really key in that. And I love this 6 game slate. It's a super fun time. So this is one of my favorite weekends. After this weekend, it starts getting, I mean, these games are fun and competitive, but this is like one of my favorite NFL DFS weekends for sure.
Yeah, so it's a really good slate. It's 6 games. We'll take that. Okay, guys, ladies, like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you sign up for Keg's live show $39.99 a month. Check it out at Run Pure Bets. Whatever, send Mangone some cat food. So
also use promo code BETS25 off to get 25% off the bet side. And you could use the promo code GetBets. If you already have the DFS side, you'll get the first month of the bet side free.
All right, let's do it. Simon, you know what to do, my friend. Get us out of here.